Journey of Youth. We don't have any today, so we're just going to go ahead and say a prayer. As members of Harmony members, I invite you to envision a growing church. I'd like you to take a deep, relaxing breath. Let's hold the space, in and out, as together we hold the vision of Harmony Spiritual Center, filled with the joy and laughter of new families and young people. As we think and imagine together, so it becomes, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, beloveds.
Good morning.
Happy holidays. We're looking very Christmassy this morning. Beautiful, very holiday-ish. Thank you to those of you who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, on our website, wherever you might be joining us. Thank you so much for being here. So I was thinking about a friend of mine, and I talk a lot about living your core values, who it is you are, and knowing what that is, so that in every instance you show up exactly as you've claimed you are. And so, thinking about a friend of mine who was dating a gentleman I didn't think was quite up to what she deserved. And I think we've been there. Many of us have been there around couples that, okay, but that's their decision. But she'd been dating this gentleman for quite some time, and we were good friends. In fact, I was invited. They decided to get married. And so I was invited to the bachelorette party, and I was invited to sing at their wedding, which I was happy to do, no problem. But there was something on my heart to tell her that I really just didn't think it was a good idea. And that if I did that, I realized I took the chance of losing the friendship, right? I mean, when you tell the truth, people aren't necessarily ready to hear it, but doesn't mean that it's not something you should say. And it just laid on my heart, and I just finally said, okay, I'm going to need to say something, because I really think this is a disaster. So we had the bachelorette party, and I stayed most of the evening. And so towards the end of the evening, pretty much everyone left, and she and I were still sitting around drinking wine together. I said, listen, I want to share something with you, and take it for what it is. It's not going to change anything for me, and of course, do what you will. But I don't feel like I'd be a good friend if I don't tell you. And I said, I just don't think he's the right guy for you. I don't think that you're going to be happy, and I really think you could do better. She told me that she knew that he wasn't the right person for her, but that she'd already spent a lot of money and time putting this wedding together and being with this person. And she was going to have a wedding party, regardless of whether she was going to have a marriage or not. That's a true story. That's a true story. And I said, okay, well, I've done my part. I've told you, you're already aware. I think they were together about 6 months and they divorced. But she wanted to have the party because she had spent a lot of time already in this relationship and putting this wedding together. And so she's going to do it. So my talk today is the tyranny of time. The tyranny of time. She was tyrannized. She just felt like time had passed, and we do that. Time can be a bully. It can be a bully. We think too much time, in many directions, too much time has passed. I won't be able to get it done. I'm entirely too old to start doing this, whatever this may be. I'm too young. No one's going to take me seriously. I haven't spent enough time in, so no one's going to think that I might know what I'm talking about. I'm too young. So much time has passed, the opportunity is no longer here. So I can't do it. The opportunity has passed. And for those of us who understand and know that we're connected and that everything comes from spirit, everything is about God, there's no such thing as a loss of opportunity. You may lose this particular opportunity, but another one will come along that's for you, for sure. So there's no such thing that we have to worry about a loss of opportunity. That is thinking with time as a bully. The thing about this is that time is actually relative. Time contracts and expands, and who knows why? When you are doing something you love, how quickly does an hour go by? Boom! It's like, are you kidding? I need a little more time. I need a little more time. And when you are doing something that bores the bejesus out of you, it's only been 5 minutes, really? Feels like an hour. All right? We've all been there where time expands and contracts. So time is actually relative. Is it actually a factor? Should it actually be a factor in the decisions that we make and the things that we do? I'm going to go back to the marriage thing, because this is a thing where I was married twice, and one for 4.5 years, about 4 years too long, and one for 37 years, and we still have a relationship. We're still married, actually. We don't live together, but we still love each other and have a wonderful relationship. 37 years. So the question becomes, like my friend who decided, well, I spent too much time in, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. My mother and father, Billy and Terry, I mean, they were the cutest little couple, really. I mean, and I learned a lot about relationships from my mom. I remember she'd be in the mirror. My father was in the military, and so he'd come home from work. Before he'd come home, there's a mirror in the door. I remember this distinctly. There was a mirror right by the front door. And she'd come down the stairs all dressed up and stand in the mirror putting her lipstick on. And I remember saying to her, "What's going on? Where are you going? What's happening?" And she said, "Oh, nothing. Your dad's coming home." Seriously. She would get dressed up because my father was coming home, and she was excited to see him. They held hands when they walked together. They were a couple that everyone came over to our home and partied with them, played cards and all of that. But he was a soldier, and so there were some things that he got involved in the war, some other things that impacted their relationship. And he was not the person that she married to begin with. He ended up being a completely different person. No fault of his own, but that was the situation. So they stayed together much longer than they should have. It was over a long time before they decided to separate. And when they did, we asked them, "What took you so long?" They were staying together for us. That's what people say. I'm staying together for the kids. But that's not what happened. They were staying together because they were just used to it. It's because time had passed. And I know a number of people who just are happy to say they've been married for 50, 60, whatever the length of time is, but they're not necessarily happy. So again, my question is time the actual factor? Is that something we need to concern ourselves with when we're making decisions about what we want to do, how we want to live, whether we want to go forward with a goal or not? We don't need to let time be a factor. Time is pressurizing. Sometimes it adds motivation. If I don't put a time frame on something, so I'm not saying that time is bad. I'm asking you to take a look at how we use time. That's all I'm asking. I'm saying take a look at how we use time. So time is pressurizing. For me, if I don't put a time frame on something, I'll do, oh, okay, I got time. And before you know it, it's come and gone, right? So for me, particularly as I'm moving forward, there's a lot of things that we're trying to do here. We're growing, we're visioning. There's administrative things that have to happen. So when someone says to me, "Oh, hey, I'd like to start a class in January," I put the note in my calendar in December. So then I knew, okay, get to them because there's some things I want to do. So there's nothing wrong with that. But time, it's a man-made construct. Do you understand that? It's a man-made. We do it so that we can have something to relate to. So when I say, I will meet you in a week, you know how far ahead I'm talking about, or an hour. It's a man-made construct. When the Bible says God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and 7 days he rested, do you really think it was 6 days as we see it? It's not possible. It really isn't. When you think about how it has to unfold and what all has to come about, it can't be 6 days that we see. It's not happening. It can't. So again, it's a man-made construct, and we don't need to allow time to be a bully and to do anything other than what we needed to do, and let it go. It is a relative. Time is relative. So you might say that this guy is tall and that she's short, relative to one another. Relative to one another. She could be 6'4", and he's 8 foot. You have no idea, right? It's relative. So relative to these two, to each other, he's taller and she's short. We could say that. But what do you have when you're looking at time passing, or when you're looking at what it is that you want to do? What is the relative position that you're looking at? My sister and my sister lives here in Waco, and a native Texan. And so we were driving together. I was living in California at the time, and we were driving here on Texas roads, and she's a true Texan, and just creating a lane where there wasn't one, all this type of thing. And so she was over in the slow lane, and a person was trying to get on. She slowed down, okay, and they were behind her. She slowed down to let them on, but they didn't speed up to get on, and she was saying, "Why don't they just get on? I'm slowing down." And I said to her, he can't see that you're slowing down because he's not next to you. So there's no relative position, right? He can't see that. So either speed up or stop, one way or the other, because the two of you will be stopped here in a minute. Because you're slowing down, and he's slowing down, and you're slowing, right? Because he can't see it. So the thing is that many things in our lives are relative. So we don't want to look at something and say, oh, well, it's this, it's that, or the other thing. Relative to what? What are you basing it on? You're too old. Why? Who told you that? Who told you that? There are many, many examples in our lives of people who do things at different ages. What if time didn't matter? Does it actually matter? It actually does not matter. It really doesn't. What would life be like if we weren't motivated by time, or demotivated by time?
Natural?
Exactly. We would live our desires when they came up. At 10 years old, would you be trying to talk a 10-year-old out of becoming a scientist because he's 10 years old? What could he possibly know? Or she, for that matter? Right? That's what we do. How do you know? When you have my grandson, who's 10 years old, he's in love. He's in love with his. Am I supposed to tell him at 10 he doesn't know what love is about? Because he's 10? How many of you fell in love with someone, had your first boyfriend or girlfriend at 5, 6? Raise your hand. You know it's true. You know you did. You did. Okay, it may not be the kind of love that lasts through marriage and all of that, but it's no more or less, we don't get to tell people that because of their age. We don't get to tell someone who's 20 years old that it's not possible for you to be an astronaut. You're too young. You haven't lived long enough. But we don't get to say those things. So if we're saying those things, that's how we're all feeling. And if we let go of time, if time wasn't a factor, how would we live? Because what really matters anyway? What really matters? It's knowing yourself, knowing that God is the source of everything. Everything, and I'm going to come back to this all the time because this is what is important. God is the source of everything. There is nothing that when you and God decide that you want to do it, that you won't be given everything you need to get it done. Everything you need to get it done. you guys, this membership, this spiritual center that we are growing together, every one of you are individual with your gifts, your talents, your intelligence, the things that you care about and the way that your core values line up. How would I then be able to be a spiritual leader by just leading from my own ego space? I can't. I have to lead from a connected space, right? From a space of knowing that we are connected by spirit. That's how I know what to say. That's how I know how to speak or what to do for all of you. And as you change and as you need something different, what you need is revealed to me because we are all connected. We have to know this. That's how it works. So if God is doing that for me, I'm not special. No, I am special, but no more special than you. No more special than you. We are all special because we are children of God and connected. So whatever you want to do, let go of time and know that you are a child of God and that you are supported. What matters most is knowing God. And to know God is about what we've talked about many, many times, prayer and meditation. I love the fact that when Pat did the meditation this morning, she reminded us of what meditation does, opens us up, and why we speak the name of whoever we feel needs healing, because we're very close to Spirit at that time. Spirit's in the room. We are, as a collective, feeling that space is with us. That happens to you every single morning or whenever you decide to do it individually. When you meditate, you are connected, so you can speak into the room, into the space, whatever you're doing, what your heart needs and is searching or longing for. That's when you do it. That's when you ask the questions. That's when you hear the answers. And of course, all during the day as well. Spirit speaks to you. It's not like you have to, get into a special place in your house with the candles lit before Spirit will speak to you. But that is that's the place where you are contemplative on a regular basis and remind yourself that you're connected. You're always connected. But we tend to forget because we go through our day and we come up against all kinds of people who don't know consciously that we're connected and behave as if we're not. But you know that we are. And we remind ourselves through meditation and prayer every single day that we are. And we make the difference. We are the peace. Imagine peace in America. We moved it. Okay, we're the peace. We bring the peace. We bring whatever it is, we bring it. That's what we get to do. So that's what matters, that we get to make a difference. And we make a difference now. We don't know if we're going to have tomorrow. This is something everyone knows. I don't care what religious background you have. Get back over there. She's doing this. Get over there. Everyone knows this. Tomorrow is not promised. It's not promised. This afternoon is not promised. What is promised is this moment that we're in, right here. Yesterday, what are you going to do about yesterday? Forgive it and move on. Let it go. It's nothing you can do. Everything that we can do is right now, in this present moment. Your thoughts, your feelings. I love the fact that we get up and hug each other or handshake it, but I don't think anybody gets to get a handshake because we just get in. That's what we do. But that's what we get to do. We get to reach out and connect with each other every single morning, and I love that today, right now. Do what matters. And how do you know what matters? Because you're always self-examining and asking yourself, why? What? What is right for me? Someone else's opinion doesn't really matter. Yours is the only one that does for your life. Okay? For your life. So do what you need to do right now. And what I'd like to do is for you to repeat after me. I surrender to divine timing and order in my life. Once again, I surrender to divine timing and order in my life. because that's the only thing that matters. Divine timing. Divine timing. The earth and world wasn't built in 6 days. So when we ask to manifest something, we're visioning for growth and for children, for all kinds of things. We don't know from our perspective of time when that's going to happen. But we know from a spiritual perspective, it's already happened. Because we said it. We thought it. As a collective, that's what we want. So we know it's already done. So spiritual timing is the only thing that matters. You keep moving forward and move today with what you know how to do. So life unfolds just as it should. We are in divine, right timing, and perfect order. Move through your day knowing that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now, today. Namaste.